So yeah, do you want to go by the alias Toxic Wizard, or would you care to introduce yourself by any other name?
We can go by Toxic Wizard.
Okay, cool. Here we go. Black hole repair. So I will grab the link to this and drop it in the chat as well. Here we go. And now we will actually get to the playing of it. Got too many windows open. Make this more simple. So this was made in Unity. There we go.
Yeah.
I will. All right, it's got its own background music. Nice. So what was your role on the team for this project?
I was the 3D artist for some of the level assets, the character model, and the gun model.
All right. Doesn't. Okay, if I hit confirm, there we go. I just turned it way down. Okay, yeah, so hitting confirm is actually implementing the settings. If I do Alt-Enter, there we go, that full screens it. And let's get this started. So, would you like to... Yes, I do want to know how to play. Whoa, we got some Quake Pro FOV going here. Right-click to pull and absorb objects. By pulling the object to your hypergun, you've just created a hypersphere. Right. Left-click to throw the hypersphere. Yeah, what could go wrong with throwing higher dimensional objects? You can recall your last hypersphere or a new one by looking at it and pressing R, or middle click, okay? Absorb to grow the hypersphere, right click to, middle click and then right click, okay. I see, so we've got like a bit of a Katamari first person shooter situation.
Yeah, that was the main inspiration.
All right, and then left click to throw. So what does left click do when you don't have anything equipped?
I don't believe it does anything.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
So the reason I ask is because okay, so there's a black hole on the heads up display. I gotta throw it in there. Okay. Can I pause this? Yes. So the reason I bring it up is because when I was building my game Allocate, one of the main mechanics in the game is to give structures power and then turn it off because you have a limited supply. And I was tinkering with the controls and I made it left click to grant power and then right click to turn it off. And I thought, like, okay, there's two actions, let's keep it separate. And then if you left click and drag, then you can manually designate the targets of your turrets. However, someone in chat suggested, very helpfully, why even have the second button? If you can just have left click toggle on and off, and then left click and drag is its own thing, then it's one less button for the user to have to remember, and it's just a little more intuitive. So that was the reason I asked about your game, what left click does when you don't have anything, because if you could have made left click throw and then pull back when you don't have anything, then I wouldn't have to remember to use middle click to do that. And then like right click always does its own thing. It seems like it's always pulling stuff towards you. But yeah, I don't know if that was something that the programmer or gameplay, like how big was your team overall?
It was a team of 5, including myself.
Okay. Whoa. All right, so I'm launching into the actual game here. So it was right click to create a hypersphere. And I've got to plug up a black hole when I see one. There it is. I keep seeing it on the peripheral of my vision, and then there it is. Can I just shoot it at it, or do I have to climb up to get it?
You can just shoot at it.
Okay. But it looks like I've got to kind of arc my shot to hit it.
Yeah.
Almost. Middle click. Aim a little higher. I think I got it. All right, and there's the next black hole. All right. So what was if you were working on a team of 5, what was the process of deciding what you were going to make?
There was pretty much given freedom to make whatever you want, really. We just submit something and then see how it fits in the game, really.
Oh, I guess a bit, sorry, my question was a bit more like, collectively, how did a group of 5 people decide on what you were going to make? Did you just kind of like add stuff to it as you went, or? How did you decide
Oh.
on the initial idea? Like, I just know that sometimes it's difficult to coordinate with a large team of people to decide what it is you're going to make.
Oh yeah, we lots of voice calls. We'd start with one idea, see where it goes, and like go from there. Like, does this fit the game? If it doesn't, we take it out. We try something new. And once we had a general idea of what the game was, then we would just stick with it.
Okay.
What mainly changed was the level, because we were gonna have multiple levels, but we were getting short on time, so it became just one arena.
Okay, I see. So the hypersphere size, required size, is growing over time. So it's kind of a okay, 3 meters. So I could throw it right now as long as I can make the shot.
Yeah.
But if I miss the shot, then I have to try again. That actually is pretty generous. Oh my goodness, Snowkey, thank you for the subscription. You are the first person to subscribe on Twitch. I genuinely appreciate that. I don't even know entirely what that means. I think that actually means that there's like money involved, which is insane to me. But thank you. All right, so if I continue with some of the other questions that I have here prepared, I totally have this prepared. Why are you asking? So what was your development process like? You mentioned that you were making the 3D models. Were you using Blender or something else?
Yeah, I was using a Blender.
I think Blender's kind of a safe bet. Being a free program and all, but occasionally you get some interesting answers.
Yeah, I think all 3D, because it was me and another 3D artist. We were both using Blender for the entire project.
All right. And have you worked together in this team before?
No, I actually, thanks to Team Finder, found this team.
Ah, cool.
So that was another challenge because I've never worked with a team before.
Yeah. So have you participated in game jams before?
No, this is also my first game jam.
Wow. Okay. So first time working with a team, and then also first experience. So how did you find it?
Rough, really rough.
Yeah.
48 hours it's really hard.
Incredibly, yeah. I would say I was lucky. Well, the very first game jam that I participated in was a local jam where I was working together with people like in person, and I can't seem to recall this guy. Okay, can I? It's weird.
I believe you can pick up an object and shoot it at it, and you should be able to grab it.
Okay, there we go. There we go. This is definitely... I hope it's big enough because it's blocking my entire screen. There we go. All right. Oh, and then another one formed exactly in its place. Yeah, so all I was going to say is that I think if you're going to do a game jam, I really like the ones that are in person. Obviously, that's not possible right now given the current situation. Hopefully it will be before long, because in-person jams are a lot of fun. It's just, you mentioned having to do a lot of voice calls. And
yeah.
It's nothing like just being in the same room as people and saying like, hey, here's what I want to do, and oh, I had this idea, and how does this look to you? Just like, peek over your shoulder and tell me what you think.
Yeah. See, that would be easier.
But yeah, also being in a 48-hour jam was really rough. I know that there are some 72-hour jams out there. There are some week-long jams, even some month-long jams. Like they do come in all shapes and sizes, but I don't know. Are you? I assume you are a follower of the GMTK channel?
Yeah. That's how I found out, and I was a little nervous, but I'm like, you know what, I'll do it. I'll join the game jam. And yeah, it was fun.
Yeah, I'm glad. I'm glad that even if it was a little stressful, that overall you had a good experience with it. I trust.
Yeah, definitely.
Excellent. So, was there anything about the game that you needed to cut or change in order to finish it on time?
We cut away levels, and we cut away a lot of the assets I made for the levels because there was
Oh,
going to be like this cafeteria area. There were going to be an engine room, things you would like find on a space station, but it just all got cut.
yeah. It's always brutal when you start working on something that doesn't need to be like that you spend a lot of time on, and then it's like, oh, well, you're not including it. What did I spend all this time on it for?
Yeah, I spent a good amount of hours on those assets.
Hours that could have been spent sleeping, presumably.
Yeah.
But oh well. I guess that's definitely something that I've done, like, I don't know, maybe like 10 or something jams in my time.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I've been doing it for a very long time, in person, online, all the different scopes and scales. Like, this jam was actually one of the more rigorous jams that I put myself through in a while, because the last three jams I participated in before that, I was basically just using the same platforming game engine to build new sets of levels with new mechanics. And then the three jams that I participated in before that, I was just using a narrative engine to try to make narrative games, because I wanted to see, like, can I branch out and make like text-based games that aren't just like platformers, basically. And given the fact that I went back to making platformers, you can see how well that experiment turned out. I would still say that the games themselves were that I was happy with them. It was just a matter of they didn't necessarily. Maybe it was just the fault of the jams that I participated in that it was hard to get them noticed. But anyway, I'm going on this whole sort of rambly tangent because my brain is also partially distracted by trying to play the game here. All I was trying to say is that over time, you definitely get a sense of what you're going to be able to accomplish in a given span of time, and that's especially easy for me because I'm working as a solo developer. Let's make it. I think it was just too big by the time I finally shot that. Shoot that and then pull. Yep. I'm slowly getting the hang of this, but I think need to find a last here. This I noticed that your character slows down when you are carrying something very large.
Yeah.
So all I was trying to say is that if you're working together with a bunch of experienced jammers, then hopefully they will be able to better allocate. They'll know what they need and what they have time for to implement, and then you won't spend a bunch of time working on assets that just end up getting cut.
Yeah, that's true. Also, Unity was mainly used, and I use Unreal Engine at least when I'm making like my games myself. So it was a completely different shift. I also do I practice photorealism, so low poly was a little challenge for me.
Okay. Oh, I've got such a large hypersphere here. Can I... Yeah, there we go. I was so worried I wasn't gonna make that one. I seem to be doing all right though. So, yeah, so you make photorealistic, like, what sorts of assets do you typically create? Just like anything, or anything in particular?
So currently now I'm working on like a horror game in Unreal Engine. So I would make like assets for, let's say I need a house and I need like the furniture assets. I would make all those myself, and I try to like achieve photorealism as close as possible.
Whoa.
So we when I took the shift to doing something more low poly and stylized, it was a bit of a challenge.
Yeah, I can imagine it's like you get used to a very particular workflow, right?
Yeah, and that's something. It's kind of the nature of how I am. I get obsessive over every little detail in texturing, or even the topology, making sure that's correct. UV unwrapping the objects. So I had to change that workflow for this jam.
Okay. I mean, it seems like things came together. Like, are you happy with how it turned out in the end here?
Oh yeah, I'm so proud of it.
Excellent. Well, I think that's what matters most. And I don't know. How did you find the difficulty? Like, I've been reasonably, like, haven't had too much of a hard time with this. There was that one time that I got pretty close, but I can jump.
Yeah,
I haven't jumped this entire time.
it's pretty easy. I believe in testing we've got to around 25, but that's because we stopped playing.
Yeah, I know that there's a funny thing that happens in my jam game. I was like testing out the spawn system, and I was like, okay, this seems like it will work. Like mathematically, I can predict how this is going to evolve over time. But then I actually played the game after the submission, and after like 12 minutes, I just got like tank apocalypse, and a ridiculous number of tanks ended up spawning in on me. So I was like, okay, I guess my game has kind of like a hard limit at 10 minutes, but at the very least, if you can make it 10 minutes, you've done pretty well in the game. So I think people will lose before that happens.
Yeah.
Oh, I gotta make this way bigger to fill this black hole now. But yeah, the reason I was asking is just because, well, A, I'm trying to gauge my own performance in the game, and B, I'm wondering how long should I be continuing to play this versus moving on to giving someone else a shot.
Oh yeah, you're doing great. You might be there for a while, so you probably should give someone else a shot.
Okay. Well, was there anything else, any other experiences you wanted to share about the game before we sign off on the call here?
No, I think that's it. Thanks for checking it out and the feedback.
Absolutely.
Awesome.
So I guess just in terms of some closing thoughts here. Well, you know what? I will. Let me Alt-Enter, and let me pick who is up next, because yours was determined by random roll, which means that Slime Whisperer was the next one in the queue. Did they get back to me? It doesn't look like they did. Okay, so that's, you know, oh well for them, but that just means that the very next person that we're going to be playing, the very next game that we're going to be playing is, where is the queue? Here we go. The Priest and the Sword is the developer for this game in the chat. So streaming, are you around? All right, and now as for the sort of general feedback I had for the game, so yeah, I already gave you the bit of feedback at the very beginning about how I think that, you know, maybe you could reduce this down to a 2-button game instead of a 3-button game.
Yeah.
I think that would be a pretty trivial thing to change. If you wanted to, I'm just wondering, like, obviously there's some difficulty tuning to be done in terms of making things either, like you want to not just make the game strictly harder, but perhaps to make it feel like a bit more tension and release. And by that I mean, like, you ideally want the user to be really close to losing and then clear the level, and then really close to losing and then clear the level. Like, you want that kind of feeling of triumph rather than like, oh, this is super easy, oh, like it's getting harder, and then I lost.
Okay.
So I don't know, like it's a difficult thing to, I'm giving this as very broad and general advice, but it applies to every game differently. The way that I can give an example of this, because I can't easily think of an example of how to do it in your game just off the top of my head. Like, it is a difficult design problem to solve. What I did in my game, Allocate, is that there is an invisible wave system, and more tanks will spawn over the course of a wave, but one enemy will spawn at a time, and then when you're about halfway through the way, a quarter of the way through, then 2 enemies will spawn at a time. When you're halfway through, then 3 enemies will spawn, and then when you're 3/4 of the way through, then it's just 2, and then when you get to the very end, then a full 4 enemies will spawn all at once. And then it resets, and you're back to the next wave, and then it's 1, then 2, then 1, then 3, then 1, then 2, then 1, then 4. And it's roughly in that pattern of like sort of mini and maximal, I don't know how you describe it, small and large like peaks and valleys to try to like stress the player and keep the pressure on. So yeah, it's just kind of that's how I did it for my game. I'm not saying that I have an obvious answer for how to do it in yours necessarily, but the one direct piece of feedback I can give is that when there is like 1 or 2 pieces of trash left in the level that you need to pick up, and you're just kind of scouting around for them, potentially putting HUD markers on them would be really helpful.
Okay.
Just because, it's a large level and the objects have kind of like fallen to the floor, it's not always easy to see where they are, and you can end up like sort of coasting around, wasting a fair bit of time just trying to see where they are. So maybe, I don't know if that's supposed to be part of the challenge or whether you could just have objects sort of spawning consistently rather than having to clear them all out and then drop a new batch. Yeah, I guess you could solve that problem one of 2 ways, but if you specifically want to have objects, if you specifically want the player to have to collect all the objects in the level, then I would recommend making it so that you put HUD markers or otherwise just continually spawning new objects into the game.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's about everything that I have, but thank you so much for joining me on the chat here.
Yeah, thanks for the feedback.
Absolutely. And yeah, as I've said to everyone else, if you have any other projects that you would like for me to take a look at in now or in the future, then please do feel free to send them my way. Even that horror project, I'd be happy to try it out. Yeah, hello?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Awesome.
Great. Well, that's everything for now. So we're going to move on to our next game. Icy Pigs, is that the developer of The Priest and the Sword?
Yeah, thank you so much.
Okay, talk to you later. Bye-bye.